It's funny how quickly a game can disappear from your rotation. One day you're checking every patch note, hopping on with your buddies after a long day of work, wondering what they're going to add next, and then life moves on. Other games come out, new obsessions take over. For me, 2025 was spent focusing on game development. And before you know it, you look back and you realize it's almost been a year since you last logged into that game that you were always so excited about the potential in the future. For me, that game was Delta Force. And if I'm being honest, I didn't exactly leave on the best terms. The last thing I really sank my teeth into was the Black Hawk Down campaign. I wanted to love it. I was super excited for it. Delta Force has some genuinely fantastic gunplay, and I thought recreating one of the most iconic military operations in gaming history sounded like a slam dunk. But it didn't land for me, and for those who were fans of the channel around that time, you know exactly what went wrong there. It was rough around the edges, it was a half-baked experience, and by the time I rolled credits, I found myself walking away more disappointed than excited. And the last video that I made on this channel was about the Delta Force Black Hawk Down campaign, and I left a scathing review. I criticized the hell out of the game, the developers, and what they did with that update. And then every time I logged in or every time I tuned into a devlog, it just felt like I was watching information about a battle pass, another cosmetic bundle, another operator, another progression system, another thing giving cosmetics and unlocks. And eventually I hit a point that I think a lot of shooter players hit, at least in this channel, in this community. I got tired. I just kind of stopped checking in. Fast forward almost a year, and apparently I've missed quite a bit. I'm above them, I'm above them. There's 3 of them on me. Yep, shield on me. He's definitely coming. He's out, he's out, he's out, he's on me. Kill him, kill him. Pussy boy. Another one out there. Inside, knocked him. He's dead. Oh, I got a shit ton of kills with that. Holy fuck. Look at that guided missile.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh, what the fuck? I'm jumping into the jet.
Oh my god.
I do not know how to fly at all.
Like, I was flying, I seen you up there.
Oh!
Oh,
That's how flying is. So the new update for Delta Force brings us a shit ton of stuff. A brand new extraction map, a dynamic story system where players influence how every raid ends, radiation mechanics, a new operator, a new boss, there's new warfare content, new weapons, and a year's worth of updates that somehow happened while I just wasn't paying attention. So when Team Jade reached out and asked if I'd come back to their biggest update yet, I figured it was probably about time, and it was the perfect excuse for it. So this video is sponsored by Team Jade, but as always, they gave me complete freedom to share my honest thoughts and experiences. This is what it's like coming back after walking away for almost a year. Has Delta Force actually evolved into something worth returning to, or was I slapped with a stark reminder of why I left in the first place? If you like what you see and you want to try the game out for yourself, you can use the link in the description and the top pinned comment. So the main point that Team Jade wanted to make with this video is how much has come to the game since I left over a year ago. 5 new operators have joined the roster, each bringing their own gadgets and abilities that pushed the game forward towards an operator-driven identity. Warfare continued receiving support with new maps, weapons, and even new vehicles, while Operations, or the extraction mode, had existing locations like Zero Dam receiving meaningful updates. Entirely new experiences were introduced, and the developers just kept experimenting with limited time modes and events. And it's funny, at one point I did mentally check back into the Delta Force cycle, And I remember reacting to a trailer earlier this year for their new Warfare map called Aftershock, where the destruction was at an all-time high, buildings were coming down. A lot of people were comparing it to Battlefield 4 and Siege of Shanghai and that hardcore like Levolution moment. It looked absolutely insane. But with all the updates, the maps, the content, the operators, the guns, all of this stuff, why reach out today? Well, all of that work over the last year has culminated into their most recent release, which is Season 10, Meltdown. And the star of this entire update is AZ3. This is a massive new operations map set inside a nuclear power plant where player actions can actually change how a raid unfolds. There's a reactor stability mechanic that happens throughout the raid. There's radiation pockets all over the place. There's dynamic events, and apparently there's multiple endings. The only endings I ever found when playing against actual players was death. Fucked. Oh yeah, fuck me, bro. Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, these two jumping off the top rope like they're the fucking Hardy Boys. What do you want me to do? Yeah, I'm coming. Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, no. They got better gamer chairs.
Damn, I'm down.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I knocked down one.
Yeah. Okay. One thing the devs did mention when they reached out is that they're building this game to be way more competitive with faster movement, diverse combat styles, and they even mentioned getting into esports in the near future. So if you're someone like me who plays a little bit more of a slower paced tactical shooter, games like Arena Breakout Infinite, or if you're somebody who plays Tarkov, this is a different rhythm. The game is leaning more into faster decision-making, aggressive gunfights, and the leaning on the operator gameplay to change the pacing of an engagement. I definitely felt out of my element coming back into this. They did invite us to an early preview where I actually got to walk around the map, experience, you know, the radiation zones, the actual nuclear power plant shutdown, and some of the new areas of the map. But the problem was during the content creator test, there wasn't any other creators playing at the time, so we were always just paired against the AI, which isn't bad, but it just doesn't make for very exciting footage. The map is fucking dope. I ran a raid with Teabag and Alex, and we ended up going into like the sarcophagus is what it's called. Basically like the interior of the destroyed nuclear plant, and it's just full of radiation. There's a ton of AI. There's a bunch of like really good loot there as well, but you have to get in and out quick, and we ended up getting stuck underneath, and then we finally made it out through a back entrance. It's probably the best map in operations at this point. There's a lot of chokehold points, like with bridges kind of leading up to different areas. The radiation pockets are pretty cool because there's loot in there that you can run in, but you just run the risk of, you know, getting fucked by radiation. There is a quest line to follow where you have to like help somebody get out of like a closet that they got locked in, and then they're going to help initiate the shutdown. There's 4 control panels spread around the map that you have to go in and access. It's pretty cool. I like the dynamic nature of a map like that. The new operator this season is N2. He's an engineer operator. He specializes in what they call cryo combat, and he utilizes liquid nitrogen traps. He's also got homing stun grenades and a frost launcher to slow enemies. You guys are seeing that on screen here. It's pretty obvious that his entire kit is built around controlling space and controlling movement rather than simply just gunning and winning fights. If you've played Rainbow Six Siege, he's the Tubarão of Delta Force. He slows enemies down by freezing their positions, and then you can just pump them full of bullets. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit torn on the operator because when it comes to AZ3 and playing the extraction mode with him, he's a fucking monster. He can control space, he can control those pushes, and if you can land the freeze grenade on a player, it's game over. So his utility is like very high key when it comes to those engagements in the extraction mode, but when it comes to warfare, I have yet to see him used like in any sort of capacity that actually makes a difference. I feel like the assault players are still better. I feel like there's better engineers. And when it comes to the warfare, you know, respawn, run in, die, respawn, run in, die, he's not as effective. And so one of the questions that the developers posed to me to make this video is, after years of competition from games like Ark Raiders in the extraction space or Battlefield in the warfare space, where does Delta Force stand today? Now, I've always said that Delta Force is an incredible game when it comes to the visuals, when it comes to how smooth and fluid the player controller is. The warfare mode has always been that's my bugaboo. That's where I like to play the most. And I think if you're somebody who doesn't enjoy Battlefield or you didn't want to spend the money on it, this is a great free-to-play alternative that also has full cross-play support, on top of the fact that they are constantly updating the game with new content. But the thing is I think Delta Force really has carved out a niche for itself in terms of that operator-based gameplay, and I don't think that's going to be for everybody, and I think that's okay. When you compare it to things like Battlefield 6, which gives you a more rigid class-based or even a more open class-based system that lets you kind of play how you want, going back to Delta Force kind of feels like, even though there's a ton of operators, kind of feels like you're pigeonholed into a certain play style based on the operator you pick, and I don't think everybody is going to enjoy that. But the sheer amount of content that has come to the game in the past year is nothing short of incredible when it comes to FPS games, at least on PC. Now, the developers also want me to tell you about all of the cosmetics. There's new character skins, AKM skins, new weapon charms, and a new knife skin. But if I can be completely honest, this is the kind of stuff that, while I'll highlight in a video very quickly, I don't think should be the focal point of any discussion regarding Delta Force. To me, that's extra stuff on top of the cherry that is meaningful content like maps, operators, game modes, and weapons. And I think when you compare Delta Force to other quote-unquote live service multiplayer shooters in the space, they're still hanging with the big dogs when it comes to their seasonal content rollout and the quote-unquote post-launch support for the title. And so if you're somebody who's looking for an alternative to games like Battlefield or the extraction shooter genre, if you're looking for something as an alternative to a game like Arena Breakout Infinite with a little bit more of a focus on operator-based gameplay, as well as a game that is completely free to play with an absolute metric shit ton of things to unlock and grind for in the game, I think that's where Delta Force shines. I think Delta Force has more stuff to grind for than almost any other FPS on the market. And as much as I can criticize the amount of emphasis they put on, unlockable content, cosmetics, weapon charms, weapon skins, all that stuff, at the very least, I never really see it shoved down my throat in terms of microtransactions. A lot of it comes down to challenges that you have to do in the game. You're chasing Mandel bricks, you're using that to then convert it into currency, and you're earning a lot of this stuff inside your matches, and I have to respect it. If you guys want to check out Delta Force for yourself, I'm going to have a link in the description and the top pinned comment. I want to give a shout out to Delta Force and Team Jade for inviting me back to check it out. They reached out and they said, hey, we want you to check out Season 10. We've done a lot of work. We've put a lot of effort into the content over the past year, and we'd love to have you back in. And as always, I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. Are you playing Delta Force? Have you fallen off of Delta Force? Are you coming back for Season 10? Where are you at with this game? I'm sure the developers are going to be listening, and they want to hear from you as well. As always, my name is Big Fry. Shout out to the Fry Nation. Appreciate you guys watching. Leave a like on the video and subscribe so you never miss any of my content. And I'll see you on the next one.